What's up, Melanated family? How's everybody doing out there, man? This is your boy Harrison with MelanatedFathers.com, Melanated Fathers TV, bringing you another episode of what I like to call Melanated Mondays, where I basically come to you at the beginning of every week. We talk about something specific to our community, something specific to our children, something specific to our families. I want to wish all the veterans, a happy Veterans Day, even though, to be completely honest about it, I don't necessarily agree with why we go to war and how black veterans have been treated throughout history, just historically how things have played out, how black people are treated here in this country, and then we still tend to want to fight for the country. But again, I understand it because some people have that patriotic thing about them. Some people feel like that's the best option for their family. You know what I'm saying? Some veterans I know who went to the military, they were able to set their families up to a certain degree as far as being able to buy a house and going to school and different things like that. So if a person from our community decides to go to the Army, the Navy, Marines, whatever it may be, to support their family, to set their families up in a way they feel is necessary, I can't hate that. You see what I'm saying? Just throughout my life, as I've gotten older and learned more about, just how this country operates, the idea of sending somebody who's impoverished here to a different country to fight for this country always seemed kind of weird to me. You know what I'm saying? But even with that being the case, happy Veterans Day. A lot of veterans come back from war and they don't get the benefits they need. They come back from war and they're dealing with a lot of different mental health issues that they don't necessarily get the correct assistance for. So to those brothers and sisters, whether they white, black, Asian, it don't matter the race, to those brothers and sisters, happy Veterans Day. Because I know you had to go through a lot and put yourself through a lot, for this goddamn country. Now, on Melanated Mondays today, what I want to speak about, because when I look at our community in the amount of people we have in our community specifically who have children and for some reason or another not in a relationship with the mother or father of that child anymore, but they're on the dating scene now. So now, the relationship that created their child in the past, now it's time to move forward with somebody else. And I think sometimes that's where we get things kind of fucked up. If we find ourselves in a situation where we have a baby and we're not in a relationship with that person, we need to do some deep diving about and some soul searching about what actually happened. You see what I'm saying? And this is something I've learned over time, having children with different women. I realize how important it is just to put the time and effort into the relationship part. The relationship with the woman or the relationship with the man, put the time into the relationship, and then that makes the creating of a child more fruitful. It creating a family just more, all the dynamics that come with being in a family. It helps you center everything in. It helps you focus more. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's important when we find ourselves in situations where we have a baby or one or two or three, it don't matter the amount, and now we're single, how we re-enter into the dating game, how we go about finding the right one, how we go about finding someone that we gonna spend the rest of our life with. Because I know some, and I'm not generalizing, but I know some people who get into a situation where they're like, fucking, I don't need to be in a relationship. I don't need no man. I don't need no woman. Now let's be honest, y'all. We don't need any other person, but relating is like the center of life. Relating is like what it's all about. If you don't want to be in it's rare that you're a person that actually doesn't want to be in a solid relationship with a man or a woman. It's just, you could have been hurt a lot of times. You could have done some fuck shit yourself. You could have been through a lot of things or make you be like, I'm cool on it. But at the end of the day, let's be honest, especially when we have kids, because I think when you're a single person with no children, the rules for you change a little bit. How you go about finding your mate is similar, but it's a little bit different because there's no baggage. There's no other life you have to worry about when it comes to moving forward with a new person, right? So I think it's extremely important for us to get an understanding of what we should be doing when we're single and we have a child, because how we move forward, who we bring into the kid's life at this point is not just going to affect you, but it's going to affect a different person, or it's going to affect another person, which is your child. And I think a lot of times, because I've been there, I think a lot of times we are in a situation where we're saying we love our kid, we saying we love them, we give them food, we provide them a place to live and all this shit. But when we talk about loving them and caring about their future, that's everything. That's the relationship we in now. That's how we live our life. That's how we decide to, the job we work or the career path we choose. All these things affect our kids directly. You see what I'm saying? So if you are in a situation where you don't have a kid, where you're not in a relationship with the kid's father or the kid's mother anymore, we're going to talk about the steps we should take to make sure when we find that new person, we know it's right. Or when we go out into the world and start looking for that new person, we know what we're looking for. You feel me? Because I think a lot of us at the end of the day, like on some real shit, don't really know what we're looking for. You got to take time, in my opinion, to kind of settle down and get an idea of who you are and what you're looking for, right? So look, let's talk about it. I would say, and this is my opinion, y'all, but this is some real shit. So the first thing, you have a baby, the baby's, regardless of the age, the baby's a year now, 18 months now, whatever the case, but now you're not in a relationship with the mother or father of the child. What's the first thing you should do? Like what's the first way to actually start moving forward to a new relationship? Because that's the thing. Even though you young maybe and you got a kid that's 1 or 2, that don't mean you don't want to kick it no more, right? That don't mean you don't want to find somebody new. That's just like a natural progression for anybody that's single, right? But again, you have a baby, so you got to look at shit a little bit differently and take different precautions that somebody that was completely single, or single without a child rather, may not do, right? So I would say the first thing a person should do, if you're not in a relationship anymore with the mother or father of your child, you have a kid, the primary focus of your life for the most part, when you have a child that young, or when you have a child and the other person isn't there anymore, you got to do what you can to provide for the child. You got to do what you can to be the best person for the child, right? So I think attempting to do that while looking for a partner, that can be a little bit convoluted. So the first thing I think all of us should do if we find ourselves in that situation is don't rush. So like looking to get into a new relationship right away may be the worst fucking thing you can do. You know what I'm saying? Maybe the worst fucking thing you can do for you and your family, because sometimes we don't know how these decisions we're making are affecting our actual kids. We don't know what they're going through while all this is taking place. If you have a child where you and the child are around the father or around the mother all the time, and then all of a sudden that shit just stops, both of y'all is going to need time to recover. You're going to have to take the time to create a sense of normalcy again for this kid. Like normalcy in structure. Just a normal routine and a structured environment for like a long amount of time, I think is the best way to get life moving again. Like just jumping right into a new relationship, like I said, that could be the worst fucking thing you can do. So the first thing you need to do is don't rush. Relax. Get your shit situated. If you was living with the woman or living with the man, now you got to get your own shit. If you was living with your parents or living whatever, now you got to focus on getting your own shit together, right? So really, and people talk about this a lot, but that's real shit. If you don't got your life together, if you don't got certain things happen in your life the way you feel you should have it, fuck what the outside world say, the way you feel you should have it, then you're not going to be able to move forward correctly. You're not going to be able to make somebody else happy. You're not going to be able to make yourself happy, and at the same time, you're not going to be able to make somebody else happy, right? So that's something we definitely got to think about. So you don't rush. There's no reason to rush. Now, do you go out and meet people? Do you? Of course. Like everybody, of course. There's completely nothing wrong with that. But bringing a new person into your kid's life, bringing a new person into your home quickly or like too soon, that shit can have negative effects on everybody around. That shit don't look good. And speaking just from a man's perspective, if you're a woman that do that, a lot of times a man won't say it, but we'll end up losing respect for you. You know what I'm saying? If you're a respectable dude, if you notice a woman not respecting herself it's difficult to give her the respect you think she may deserve when she don't think she deserve it. You see what I'm saying? So the first thing you do is don't rush. Give your kid a chance to recover. Take that time to determine, how am I going to function now with this man or woman that I have a kid with, but I'm not in a relationship with. So we're going to do weekends. We're going to do joint custody. We're going to do, how's the visitation going to be set up? You see what I'm saying? So that should be the primary focus, determining how this child still going to be able to be involved with both parents. Because at the end of the day, y'all, regardless of what we go through, regardless of the fuck shit we do to each other, both parents need to be involved with the child's life, and neither parent should do anything to deter that or do anything to come in the way of that. You feel me? So don't rush. Give you and the child time to recover. The next thing you need to do that I think is really, really, really important is examine why that shit didn't work out. The last relationship you was in with your child's father, your baby mama, whatever you want to call it. Why didn't it work out? And I think, from my perspective, a lot of times when we're examining why shit didn't work out, we're looking at the other person. Like, they didn't do this. They wasn't right because of this reason. They didn't have this. They start cheating. Whatever the case may be. Now, granted, the partner you were with could have fucked everything up. They could be the sole reason, or they could be a large part of the reason why y'all not together. If it's cheating, if it's whatever the case may be, I understand that. But at the end of the day, I think in order to move forward, in a healthy manner, in order to move forward and be able to give your all to the next person that you meet, the most productive way to look at those type of situations is determining what you did wrong. And sometimes that's hard to do. Sometimes it's hard to tell yourself for a moment in time you wasn't shit. Or it's hard to tell yourself there was a particular moment in time where you was stupid, or you was lost, or you didn't know who you were, whatever the case may be. But sometimes we'll still frame that shit and point it at the other person. Well, I didn't know what I was doing, or I was going through something, but it's because I met this person, or because I was going through something with that. Nah, that's not how that shit works. If you really want to evolve and become a better person, what you should be thinking about is what you did wrong. Like, really putting a microscope on your behavior in the relationship, because I think a lot of times we attract who we are. I think that's some difficult shit to come to grips with, but you not attracting somebody that's too far off from your personality type, or too far off from the mentally how you think. You may think you're at a different level than they are, or whatever the case may be, but why were you attracted to them? You see what I'm saying? If you a dude, if you tell yourself, well, it was just sex, or it's just a physical thing, yeah, that may be the case sometime, but a lot of times, fellas, it's much deeper than that. It's much deeper than that. So you got to dig down deep and see what would attract you to a person that may not have been good for you, or would attract you to a person that once you become a little older and start figuring out who you are and what you like, you see how far off you were from somebody, how much different you were from somebody. If you a dude that's just doing shit for sexual pleasure, or to satisfy yourself sexually, that's when you got to kind of understand that and realize, okay, thinking with your dick, that's a lot of negative attributes come with that. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of times it's not what you do, but how you do it. So you got to figure out a different way to maneuver. Figure out why are you so driven by having sex, whatever it may be. But we got to do some soul searching for ourselves to figure out what's actually going on. You see what I'm saying? Instead of blaming the other person, instead of blaming your parents or whoever the fuck may be. When something don't work in a relationship and a child came from that situation, I think you really got to take the time to figure out, okay, what happened wrong, because now I have to enter into a new relationship. If I love this person, or I really want to be with this person, I got to introduce my kid to this person. So I got to figure out what I did wrong last time to make sure I don't create this revolving door where I'm bringing new people into my child's life. I think that can be some of the most harmful shit you can do to a boy or a girl. You see what I'm saying? So it's important that we look at what our participation was in allowing someone to do whatever they did to us. Because no one, that's how I feel about it. Nobody is just doing anything to you. It's really a matter of what you decide to allow to happen in your life. Because we don't have to be with nobody. You can cut it off with anybody at any time. If you staying around, if you enduring certain type of trauma or certain type of treatment from somebody, that shit's on you. You can put it on them if you want to and make it seem like, you know, they took advantage of you or they was cheap. Whatever the case may be, you got to kind of look at yourself, because a lot of times shit just don't happen. We'll make it seem like that person just cheated, or that person just hit me, or that person just done something to mistreat me. That person just start being disrespectful. But a lot of times that shit been going on. A lot of times you ignore shit when the sex is good. You feel me? You ignore shit when you in that little honeymoon stage where you just want shit to last and you on cloud nine about a motherfucker. You ignore shit. But unfortunately, you allow shit in the beginning, and then when things get serious, once things begin to happen or you begin to evolve, whatever the case may be, that shit get all fucked up. You begin to evolve, and you start realizing, okay, I don't like this no more, or I don't want this from this person, and now you trying to change them. It can become a real messy situation, and this all kind of starts from you not knowing who you are. You know what I'm saying? That's what I think. You not being completely honest with the kind of person that you are. So that leads me into the next thing I think should happen. So you don't rush into a relationship. That's number one. You examine what went wrong in the relationship by looking directly at what you did, looking directly at the input you had, and whatever negative attributes came from the relationship. The next thing you should do is take the necessary time, family, to find yourself. Now, what do I mean when I say find yourself? What I mean by find yourself is opposed to looking at yourself from the views of people in the outside world, instead of using like what you've been told about yourself, what people say about you, all the input you get from people outside of you, you got to say fuck all that shit and start from the bottom and decide, okay, what do I like about me? What are the attributes about me that I like? That if I was looking for somebody, that if I was looking for a person to be with, what are the attributes about me that I would find appealing? You see what I'm saying? You got to really begin looking at yourself. And what is it that I like? Because I think sometimes when we get a little older, 20s or 30s, we get to a point where we're just working. We're into our career. Whatever we decided to do for money, we doing this shit 8 hours a day, sometimes 10 hours a day, sometimes more. So this becomes, for the most part, it can begin to consume your life, right? So I think everybody has to do a little soul searching, even if you're not in a relationship, and just say, okay, what is it that I like about me? What are my true like goals and aspirations outside of anybody around me? What is it that I really like to do? What is it that I like to do that I would do for free, that don't take money or nothing? What dreams that I have as a kid that I allow myself to dilute once I start getting older and start fucking with drugs and start having sex, start going to school? Like once the real world hits you sometime, you can lose sight of whatever your main dream was. I think that's a beautiful thing about children. They have the ability to dream and envision what they want, and it's clear and it's without interruption because the world haven't tainted them yet. You see what I'm saying? And sometimes we get older and we just say fuck anything creative, fuck anything outside of just working this job. You know what I'm saying? So you got to take time to figure out what you truly like and dig into your negative attributes, like the things that not and the thing is not what people perceive is negative about you. Fuck what people say. It's about what you know. You know what you're lacking. You know what you're not good at. You know what areas of your personality need to be worked on. I think this is the only way people can begin to evolve. Not looking at the shit you do right, because we all have things that we do good, things that we excel at, things that we're better at than other people. But the first thing you got to look at is the shit that you don't do good. Where was I? Okay, like I was saying, so you take the time to find yourself, because that's going to be the most important part of evolving as a person. And again, it should, because none of us are perfect. it should be a humbling moment to be able to realize, okay, and be comfortable with the fact that, okay, I was doing some stupid shit right there. Like I was tripping. Like I may owe somebody an apology from that time of my life. Like I was really not doing things the correct way. That was on me. Like even though somebody else was involved, if I would have done this differently, I could have prevented all of that. You know what I'm saying? I think that can be some of the most empowering shit that we can do as individuals, is coming to grips with what we're not good at, coming to grips with who we're not. See, I think before you can find out who you are, you have to figure out who you're not. And I think a lot of times we'll spend time being who we think other people want us to be. Or we'll spend time being looking at the perception other people have given us, and we're using that as our personality, or we're allowing that to upset us, or allowing that to take us off our square, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? So the only way, we can get into these situations where you're receiving information from somebody and you're allowing it to help you and you're being positive about it, is if you know who you are. You feel me? So taking the time to know who you are is a really big step that everybody should take when it comes to being in relationships, when it comes to figuring out who you're gonna be with next. Because like I said, if you have a kid and you have a child, who you bring into the child's life is a really, really, really important factor. Because being that you have a child, you should want a family. You should want to be in a situation where you are, it's you and a man, or you and a woman, and you guys are taking the time and showing a kid the importance of being in a relationship. You feel me? Sorry about that, guys. I'm here in my office and it's early before anybody here, so I keep having to get up, go downstairs and do different stuff. But look, so check it out. So far we're at, and this is for my parents, single parents who are looking to get back into a relationship. My single parents who think it's time to find a new partner, or whatever the case. It's important for us to be in my opinion, it's important for us to be in relationships when we have children, only because a family unit is in the structure from a family unit is extremely beneficial to the child. It's extremely beneficial to both people, right? So you don't rush into a relationship. You examine what went wrong with the last relationship by highlighting what you did wrong, opposed to doing any pointing of the finger. You looking solely at yourself and what you have to do to improve. You take the necessary time to find yourself, take the necessary time to find who you are. That's extremely important. The next step, the last and final step that I think is extremely important as everything else, but it's extremely important, is creating realistic expectations about your relationship goals. Like, again, y'all, I think it's so important, man, not to listen to other people. I think it's so important to remove all outside forces about what you think marriage is, about what you think commitment is. Fuck all that shit. You need to dig deep inside, do research, take from other situations if you want, but create your own idea of happiness, family. Create your own idea of what a healthy relationship is. You create that. Now, some shit we know you shouldn't do. Some shit we know shouldn't go on in a relationship. But for the most part, create your own happiness. Create your own heaven, if you will. You see what I'm saying? And you do that by figuring out, creating realistic expectations for who you want to be with based on who you are and based on where you at in life, and make your own script, family. Don't allow nobody to create when you should get married, how you should get married, how long you should be together before you do this, all that type of shit. You should sit down with yourself and decide, okay, this is what I think should happen when it comes to being in a committed relationship. These are the rules I'm going to live by that I created for myself. You feel me, family? So this has been another episode, man, of Melanated Mondays. I want to thank everybody for continually tuning into my show, continually going to my website, which is the bigger part of what I'm actually doing, is melanatedfathers.com, with the podcast on there, with the information about history, with the news stories, with the articles about parenting, with the book of the... I'm back, family. So if you haven't done so, please go to melanatedfathers.com, family. Check out what I'm doing with the website. Check out some of the articles that I write. Of course, we try to keep you up to date with different news stories going on in our community that we feel are pertinent. So we cover a little bit of those too. Go to the YouTube page, which is Melanated Fathers TV on YouTube. On the YouTube page, I have a lot of the news stories that we talk about. I have this show, the Melanated Monday show, on the a YouTube page. We also have a Speaking Truth to Power segment where it's just videos from people I respect. That I don't monetize, but it's people that I respect that I think people in our community need to hear. Really intelligent brothers, really insightful brothers and sisters who I think have a pulse on what Black America needs. So there's a lot of videos there. The Melanated Convo podcast that I do every 2 weeks. The Melanated Convo podcast is basically a show where I interview different people around the country that are entertainers, that are writers, that are on different entrepreneurs, just inspiring people I think can motivate and encourage all of us to do a little better and to figure out different things you want to do, right? Because, of course, working a 9 to 5, there is absolutely nothing wrong with somebody working a 9 to 5 for 30 years and retiring and being able to take care of their family in the process. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But what's wrong with, I think, everybody needs to try to figure out a way to be creative. Why not leave a bigger mark on the world, right? Why not dig deep within yourself and pull out that thing that makes you different than everybody else and use that to inspire people, use that to motivate people, use that to leave your mark on the world. So it's nothing wrong with following the traditional way of being successful or the traditional way of being happy or stable in this country. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with that. But at the end of the day, I think we all should be seeking to go deeper than that. We all should be seeking to figure out, again, what is it about us that makes us different than other people, and use that to inspire other folks, right? So again, this has been another episode of Melanated Mondays. I want to thank everybody, like I said, man, for continually supporting what I do, continually reaching out to me, giving me different news stories to write about. Like, it's been an extremely fulfilling journey so far, and I'm still just at the beginning of what I'm doing. So I thank everybody for tuning in, man. Also, on Thanksgiving Day, if you're in Sacramento, I'm in Sacramento, California. If you're in Sacramento, California, please tell everybody you know who does not have a place to eat on Thanksgiving. If you know somebody who does not have money for their family on Thanksgiving, if you know somebody who, or any situation like that, please have them come out on the 28th. On the 28th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. We're going to have food. We're going to have music. We're going to have some movies playing for the family. We're going to make it a real comfortable environment. Please come out and support. If you know somebody who's doing bad, or just, don't got it this year for whatever reason. Homeless people too. If you know somebody that's homeless, we're going to be making sure all the homeless people in this community come in and get something to eat too. You feel me? So that's November 28th at Thompson Rose Chapel Funeral Home is where the dinner will take place from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. If anybody wants to volunteer, if anybody wants to just come by and eat too, even if you're eating with your family and you want to just come by and say what's up and eat, we appreciate that. But, we all should be looking to help other people. We all should be looking in our communities to see what we can do. Looking in our communities to see how we can help out, how we can be beneficial to the people around us, right? So that's been another episode of Melanated Mondays, man. I'm out.